So by default, a background image's initial position is the top left-hand corner of the containing element, as we're seeing here in our main header. But we can control this background position with the background position property. So let's go back to our main header rule, and right beneath the background repeat property, let's add a background position property. So the background position property accepts position keywords along with length units and percentages. And the first value we write determines the horizontal position. So we're going to use the position keyword center, which positions the image in the center of the containing element. Now, the second value we write sets the vertical position of the image. But notice that if just one value is specified, the browser will assume that the second value is center. So if we save our style sheet and refresh the page, that's why we're seeing the background image perfectly centered inside our main header. Now, if we go back and add the position value top, when we take a look at it once again, we can see how the image is now positioned at the top of the div, but still centered horizontally. And if we go back and change the position to, say, center bottom, this positions our image at the bottom of our main header, and so forth. But we can also get more specific with background positions when we define a length value. So for instance, when using percentages, the values are relative to the height and width of the background area. So let's change our background position value to 20% and 50%. And when we take a look at it once again, we can see that our image is now positioned 20% to the left side of the header, and it's still vertically centered at 50%. Feel free to pause the video and experiment with other percentage or pixel values to see how the background position changes. Moving forward, we'll keep our background position at center so that it's perfectly centered in the background. Also, let's go ahead and remove the background size value so that we're able to see the entire background image at full size. So now, as you've probably noticed, the background image appears too large. The nicer parts of the image are being cut off, so it's not really scaled to the size of our header. Now, we could probably fiddle around with the background position values to place our image at a better position. So for example, instead of center, we can say 50% and 80%. And when we take a look at it again and refresh, well, that looks a little better. But wouldn't it be great if we could see the full image and have it proportionally scale to the size of our main header? Well, the background size property also accepts the value cover. And what cover does is it ensures our background images display entirely at a scale size. So let's go ahead and change the background position value back to center. And let's save our style sheet. And when we refresh the browser, we can see how the cover value adjusts the background image so that we're able to see the full image in our header while maintaining the width and height proportions. Now, background size cover is also a handy feature, and it's commonly used for creating full page background images. Finally, let's go back to our main header rule, and let's use the background shorthand property to define all of our background values in one declaration. So right below the background position property, I'm going to add a few spaces, then I'm going to type background, and I'm going to start defining these background values. So first, let's go ahead and copy the background color value, and let's remove it from our main rule because now we're going to define it as our first background value. Next, we're going to define the background image. So let's cut the background image URL value, and let's also remove the background image declaration. And we're going to paste the background image value after the color value. Then after the background image value, I'm going to add a space, and now we're going to add the background repeat value. So let's type no repeat. And next, let's add the background position value. So we're going to type center, and then we're going to type a space and a forward slash. And after the forward slash, we're going to write the background size value of cover. So remember, the forward slash is there to separate the background position value from the background size value. And now we can go up here and remove these background declarations because now they're all in our handy shorthand property. Now, usually I prefer to keep the background size property and value on its own line. It's up to you, but for me, it just makes the code a little more readable and easier to understand than one long background value. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the cover value from the shorthand notation, and right beneath the background property, I'm going to type the background size property and give it the value cover. So now when we save our style sheet and refresh the page, everything should still look exactly the same, which it does. Great. Now, next, we're going to take a code challenge where you're going to have to apply some of the new background properties we just learned to our wildlife container.